With companies like SpaceX constantly in the news and NASA planning on returning astronauts to the moon, interest in spaceflight has never been higher. But there are a few questions everyone wants to know. When are we going to Mars? And more importantly, how will we survive? Channel 8 reporter Chase Johnson has more.
5, 4, engine ignition, 2, 1, 0.
0.
Release.
And liftoff.
Landing on Mars is no longer a question of if, but when. Scientists at NASA are hard at work finding new technologies and techniques to allow for long-term stay on another planet. But one important aspect of survival is often overlooked by the public, something we take for granted simply because there's so much of it: soil.
Once we're there, we're not going to be able to supply them from Earth. So that means that if they're going to stay there very long, and particularly if they're going to be there permanently, they have to figure out a way to live off the land. And soils are going to be their key to doing that.
Doug Ming is a former NASA planetary scientist who spent his entire career figuring out how to grow plants on the International Space Station and Mars. But the soil on Mars is very different from that on Earth.
All it has is this surface that's been formed by volcanic processes. Now, it's been reworked by maybe wind, maybe water, but it's all volcanic in nature.
The combination of being composed primarily of volcanic rock, along with the lack of plate tectonics on Mars, means that Martian soil is unable to be recycled and replenished with nutrients.
Soils on Mars, I think we can grow crops in. We can use that to sustain the crew, produce not only their food, but regenerate the air in their cabins or habitats where they can take the CO2 that is the waste of the humans and provide that oxygen back to the crew to help sustain their air.
While we still may be decades away from landing the first settlers on the Red Planet, just know that dirt, well, it's not something to be overlooked. In Manhattan, Chase Johnson, Channel 8 News.